wanted to do a little bit different. I got some feedback from a number of you. Thank you very much on what you wanted as part of this call. And one of the things I wanted to add was kind of an open forum, right? There's some things that everybody's struggling with right now. And one of the questions a lot of people have asked is, how are you coaching realtors on keeping buyers motivated with the rates going up, right? What does that conversation look like? Because I'm sure all of you are having those type of conversations. So I just want this to be kind of an open forum for you to share what's working for you, or even what you've tried and isn't working for you. So who'd like to start?
I'll throw something in just to start before someone steals it. I think one of the biggest things is just getting on board with your realtors and just really getting into the cost of waiting, because regardless of where rates are now, that rate now doesn't matter when we're looking at now versus a year from now, whether that rate drops in another year. And I think that's the first piece. The second piece is just getting in and having a conversation with your realtors about staying positive, because if they're the ones that are being negative about the interest rates and the current market, that directly trickles down into their clients and their clients wanting to write offers and wanting to continue to write offers. So just trying to be that like beacon of positivity or a positive outlook on where the market is for your realtors will trickle down into the conversations that you're having with your clients, will keep them motivated regardless of where the interest rates are, right? And it's like Haber and G were framing it yesterday. Take that conversation of rate, and it's difficult, right? Like it's very difficult to take that out of the approval process, to take the conversation of rate away, but it just doesn't matter nearly as much as getting in and getting a home and gaining that equity over time. So biggest thing I said is just frame that positivity with the realtors and make them understand that side of it. Most of them are going to agree, but just don't let them get like, oh man, this sucks. Rates went up 0.5% last week. Well, yeah, it sucks, but there's nothing we can do about it.
Thanks, Casey. Who else has something they want to add?
I would say, if I was to say something, I haven't had any issues with the rates at all. People aren't really shopping. I think for me, realtors are just trying to find ways to make things happen. And really, I'm trying to keep people motivated. I mean, I talked to one guy I've been working with for years, and he sounded like Eeyore. I started calling him Eeyore because he's all down, and it's just, so the cash offer thing has been really big, honestly. Created a worksheet, and I know exactly what they need for approval, so I don't even go through the whole Jessica introduction thing. I just send everything to the underwriter. Within a day I get approval. I talk it through with the borrower. Paula and marketing put together a really nice presentation PDF to send to your client, which is beautiful, and so they've been eating that up. So the cash offer thing's been good. Like I mentioned, with the running DU and LP for appraisal waivers, that's huge. I got a contract earlier this week. They gave me an $80,000 appraisal waiver and appraisal gap, and we knew we had a waiver. So it was just like a no-brainer. It's like adding something into it, but really you already know that we're past that. So that's been really good too. Yeah, and I'm also looking into other cash offer programs. There's some that are a bit cheaper. I have one strong partner who's loves Homeward. He's been checking into that. They're a little bit cheaper and stuff. Of course, I was worried about, well, they have a lending side as well. These companies have multiple, arms. They have to be a separate company to do the cash purchase, and then they'll have a title company, and then they'll have a lending company. And I just want to make sure they're not trying to steal our business. That we take people to them. They want to have that conversation with them, that they're not just instantly directing them to their lender for a lower fee. And I know Dave's also looking to develop one in-house for us. So I think it's just a great strategy, and I'm seeing more and more people go to that.
Thanks, Curtis. Who else has something they've been doing or how they've been addressing that?
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, G.
Go ahead, please. I was gonna say, so I think kind of just going off of what Casey was saying, not only keeping your realtor themselves motivated, but also making sure that everyone is staying on the same page of just like that level of motivation and that level of education to just realize that, you know, there is an urgency in the sense that, yeah, rates are going up, which means your buying power is going down each month that you're, you know, putting off looking. So making sure to kind of find like that balance of urgency, but also that you're on the page that, you know, it's still possible. It's still going to happen. It's still going to close. It's just a matter of just staying focused and staying on task and, you know, using that time effectively to actually shop around and keep putting offers in and keep trying.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just, you know, making sure that they know that, you know, you're their partner. You know, I explained to the realtors that, you know, a big part of our face-to-face meeting now is all, like, it didn't used to be. Appraisal gap wasn't even a word that I knew existed before last year. So now a big part of that presentation is all about appraisal gap. And, you know, they either can do something and finance it with our, you know, by doing MI or things like that, or they can't. If they're doing 3% down or you know, 5% down, they really can't. They really have to come up with the money. So it's just explaining that, so it's not all on their shoulders to explain to the buyers when they're out there driving around looking at houses. And then, I mean, we're, you know, our team, we're, you know, we tell them we're available on the weekends. I mean, we're never like, even though there are some weekends that we don't get up from our desk, it seems like, but you know, they know that they have a partner in us. We can help them run AUS, right? Like Curtis was saying, seeing if we can get a PIW at some of these prices. And sometimes we are, and we're getting it at, you know, like he said, you know, homes that are getting bid up, you know, $50,000, $70,000, $80,000, and we're getting a PIW. Pretty amazing. And so when you can do that, they're waiving financing contingencies, you know, 10-day closing. You're giving them everything you could possibly give them, you know, to get them to get their offer accepted, right? And so for me, I send out that rate update on Saturdays. I know not everyone does that. Buyers and realtors get that. So I'm not really having issues explaining to people what rates are, because first, they're getting that. Second, I'm probably running numbers for them on Saturday or Sunday if they're making an offer, and the likelihood that it's going to be dramatically different, if different at all, on Monday or Tuesday when we lock, except for this week, you know, is pretty small. So we're not like having to sell them on the rate when it's time to lock. Most of the time, I'm locking this past quarter because rates have just continually moving higher. We've been locking them as soon as we get the contract, if I know what they're doing for sure. And then showing them, hey, here's an option with no points, no cost, 1 point, whatever. And then they'll just reply. And if, you know, if we lock the wrong rate, we'll just change it with the lock desk and not have to resell it the next day if they take a day and then the market is worse. So.
Yeah, that's some great stuff.
There's
I don't
something
know if
else
I'm supposed to do that, but.
There's something else I noticed too that I was unaware of, actually, is, you know, I think I've spent so much time trying to keep people in conventional or even high balance conventional. And now with like high balance conventional being so bad in pricing, you know, being able to roll that to a jumbo product, which is priced extremely competitive, has helped me beat out some other people as well. So if they're close to that, instead of trying to push them into that, sometimes that, you know, conforming conventional, even a regular conventional loan, if they just have a little more, they have 20% down, but they could just be in that high balance over 647, 200, taking them jumbo is money. All of a sudden you're a quarter point less than everyone out there. That's been helpful.
Yeah, Ryan did that with one of our clients a couple weeks ago, where they were, you know, they're looking at like 900 or 850, where 20% down was going to put them pretty close to high balance or in high balance. And so he showed them, you know, 15% down Truist. It was really competitive in pricing, no MI. We underwrite it in house, and it was like a 0.5% lower than high balance. And they, by doing 15% down, they have that 5% extra cash that they can use for appraisal gap if needed.
You know, I'd love a bit of some more insights on jumbos. I'm doing more and more jumbos now than I've ever done. So that'd be great to get some feedback as, things, which investors to look out for certain items, kind of hot button issues, that kind of stuff.
We
They
need
have
Chris
a-
here for that.
What's that?
We need Chris Haber here for
Yeah,
that.
I know, right? Let's get Chris on it. That'd be awesome.
We may have to post that for next week's call.
Yeah,
Maybe
He
top-
teaches
top-
like a half-hour jumbo class, like best practices. Everybody would attend. I would.
Oh yeah,
I would, for
yeah.
sure.
Record it.
Curtis,
Yeah.
I would love to pick your brain, like if you could do a Revive 101 class, because I'm still struggling pretty hard with
Sure.
and what they need and stuff. It sounds like you got it pretty dialed, so would love to.
It's been smooth. It's been
Yeah.
smooth.
Mine's not been smooth.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I had my first closing for the cash closing,
Wow.
and the agents were freaking out. It was, I think, Monday, and then I called Jessica. She goes, "No, everything's fine. I've talked to them," because she mentioned something about a warehouse line and them needing to add a lien to the property at the closing. And the
Wow.
listing agent lost his mind, thinking that there was, oh, we need an amend for a loan, and I got the scoop, and I came back and just said, no, it's, there's no amend needed. This is a warehouse. That's where they're drawing the funds. I thought they had the money. They're getting a loan. No, they're not. This is like pulling it from a HELOC or something. They have access to these funds. It's a lot of money. They're not going to come with handbags filled with $100 bills, And so everyone calmed down and it was smooth. So that was glad to get past that one. But that's the kind of thing. Now I could follow back up with Jessica and Brittany, the underwriter. And Brittany's awesome. She'll correspond directly with you and give you feedback.
Interesting. So you're
She's the
just
underwriter.
getting approval directly with the underwriter. You're
I just go straight to the underwriter and I copy Jessica. Jessica gives the ultimate approval, just so you know.
Sure.
Brittany does all the reviewing and Jessica signs off.
All right, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's,
Sounds like we have our next two coffee for closers calls, Revive 101 and Jumbos. Let's go.
yeah, looks like we got a couple of new
We can
topics.
schedule something
So,
next week on that.
send out some training videos on that. Hey, I did want to, was there anything else anybody else want to add on that topic? If not, I'm going to kind of move on. I wanted to kind of give a little bit of a sales tip, right? So one of the questions that always gets asked in sales is, how often should you follow up with somebody? And if I ask everybody might have a different answer. I don't know. But I think everybody has a different way of looking at that. A statistic is 80% of sales require an average of 5 follow-ups in order to close the deal. But 44% of sales reps only follow up with the prospect once before they give up. And after 4 follow-ups, 94% of salespeople actually quit. So how often should you follow up? You need to keep following up until you get a yes, really. But here's one rule that I'll give you with follow-ups. Anytime you're going to reach back out to someone, always bring value, right? People don't care if you're just touching base with them, but if you can bring value every time you reach out to them, it makes a huge difference. They start seeing you as a resource. They start seeing you as somebody different in the marketplace. So follow-up might look like, hey, I had an idea today and I thought of you, right? And I don't know, you throw something out to a referral partner about something you're doing related to appraisal gaps, or something you're doing related to how you're keeping, buyers motivated, or whatever it might be, right? But some little nugget, and I thought of you, I wanted to reach out to you, don't know if you're doing this or not, but we're having some success with this. Reach back out to me, or, you have that conversation, right? But if every time you reach out to them, you have value, like you have something of value to them, eventually they're going to start calling you. So there's my sales tip for the day. Don't know. Hopefully that helps a few of you as to doing follow-ups and how often should I call this person, and when do I, just move on to somebody else or whatever, right? So, and the last thing I want to wrap up with is I want to just share some success stories. So does anybody have something that went great this week, or a huge obstacle that you guys were able to overcome? And I know G's been working on a huge challenge over the last couple of days, but I don't know if that got resolved or not, but weak. But any successes, lessons learned, that type of thing? Anybody wants to share? Take a few.
I just want to hit really quick on what you said, Dean, on what you were just talking about for your sales tip is the time to stop following up is once you get a yes, right? You didn't say stop following up once you get a no, right? When you get a no, you can still follow up.
Yeah.
So that was my takeaway.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I know just means not now. There's a saying, if you work with me long enough, there's a saying that I use, which is much water wears the marble. And some people go, what the hell does that mean? That sounds very cryptic. But marble is a pretty hard substance. I think we all would agree. But if you've ever stood at the edge of a Grand Canyon, you know, if you run enough water over marble, you can cut through it pretty easily. It just takes a lot of water running over it. So, so much water wears the marble. There's your saying for the day, I guess. Any wins? Anything good that happened to somebody this week that they want to share?
For me, it was just, we had, I think, 2 contracts last week that were, you know, they were competing, of course, and were able to run AUS and get PIWs. And that just allowed them to, you know, waive pretty much every deadline in the contract, and got the offer accepted. So
Nice. Good
just
job.
knowing, a lot of agents don't know that you can do that, right? So,
Right.
and in case anyone doesn't know, you can do that. You can plug in the address, you can plug in the price and the value, just don't plug in the estimated value and it won't trigger an app.
I never knew that.
And then you can flip it back to TBD.
I never knew that.
There
That's
you go.
funny. It's huge. I had the same thing. I think 4 contracts this week, you know, that I was able to trigger. And it was like a breakthrough because it's been dry for a while, you know. Most people, I mean, appraisals, I probably get, you know, potentially 4 or 5 of those a week, but I'm pushing them to HELOCs. It's just not a good decision for clients right now to give up a 2.75 rate to change windows in their house. It's ridiculous. And people are, and they're coming to me after they're talking to American Financing. I had one person who was going to pay $7,000 for a little bit lower rate to borrow $16,000 to do some remodel work. I'm like, no, here, talk to Nick at Belco. You know, they have this hybrid product, and they appreciate it. And many times they'll send other people to you. You know, just building trust with folks. It's a lot of fun.
Most people that get HELOCs now, those rates are going to start moving higher over the next couple of years. The Fed raises rates, so they're eventually, it'll just work out for you that in the next couple of years they'll come back. First mortgage rates will drop.
Yeah.
They'll have more equity, and you'll be able to refi them and combine both loans.
Yeah.
I did a Zoom sit with this client yesterday. I was like, hey, Natalie, you want to join this Zoom sit? And like, we sit down, the guy's like, just so you know, your rate sucks compared to this other lender I was talking to. And I was like, oh, starting to sweat, you know, and kind of just, so yeah, this is the guy that he said he was getting 3.875 with like no points or anything. And I just said, you know, I didn't want to spend 45 minutes with him if like he was not even receptive to anything. So we went straight to rate, pulled up like the bond chart, Optimal Blue, Freddie Mac index, right? When you tell people it's a survey of thousands of banks and the rates worse, rate and fees are worse than what you're showing them, that has some power for sure. And that's the one that the media always picks up on. You know, it comes out every Thursday morning. And after like 5-10 minutes, he's like, okay, well, you know, Stella really trusts you, so I should definitely, you know, see what you have to offer. And we went through pretty much the whole presentation except some of the education part, because he's bought a few homes. So we'll see how that one plays out. But I was like, oh, awesome. Like, I was like, Natalie, I don't know that I can't remember the last time that happened, but I guess that was interesting to watch.
It was cool that G handled it so well. He stayed so calm and was just like, well, if you can get that, good for you, but I don't think you can. So
Right. Or what's it costing you? Gee, I'd love to get the links that you access to show them.
Yeah, so just Google freddiemac.com. And if you scroll down, there's the rate index, and
Okay.
it's got the date on there. So 4.67 with 0.8 in points.
Yeah,
And
so many
so-
times there's places that'll have rates or average rates for the nation and stuff. And of course, there's ads all over it, to,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, this, I tell people this is kind of like the real deal. It's not an ad, right? It's a
Right.
survey.
it's not
It's
marketing.
not one bank, it's lots of banks. And so it's the number that they always see in the media, even when rates were dropping in 2020, 2021, and you have someone locked in and the media's like, rates hit all-time lows, and they went from like 2.51 to 2.50. It's like, well, yeah, that's still the same rate. Like you're good. Like we're locked. Yes, I guess they did hit all-time lows, but it's the same rate.
Just a follow-up question to G about the PIWs. Is there like a max number that you allow each client to do that, or is it just go for it?
How many times you run AUS?
Yeah,
Like,
to get the
how many different
PIW.
properties?
Yeah.
I haven't ran into a max. Yeah, I haven't ran into any issues, so.
It's 50 times, ran into that this week.
What?
It's 50 times. You can
And what
run it
happens at 50? The PIW goes away? They're like,
Yeah, everything just crashes. No, it just like you can't ever.
You can't run more than 50 times any file.
okay, yeah.
Is it
Also-
by a file or by address, by property?
By file.
Interesting. So you would verse and reset?
No, you just take the case number out and start over.
Yeah.
If you run a property and don't close in that property, the second property you run is going to give you a red flag, which has to go away. So regardless, you have to take the case number out and start over.
I'd love to know how to do that.
Once
Can
you have
we
a
do
red
that?
flag, you have to start out. You have to start the findings over again. We'll send out instructions on that.
Awesome. Thank you.
What else?
A lot of good stuff today. It's awesome.
Just a lesson from yesterday for me, dealing with one of my first big new builds. Kind of the takeaway after talking with ops is, when you're talking with the client, or the building company, make sure you're getting updates, because after we got the contract submitted and sent the title initially, they signed a solar lease on the new build that we didn't find out about until we were sending out the estimated CD. And then the day before closing, we found out the roof wasn't finished and nothing had been communicated to any of us. So just always stay in, constant communication. When you check in, just be like, hey, is there anything new that, we didn't discuss last time? Nothing to do.
That's it.